If you need help with addiction and don't know where to go, you can call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration 24 hours a day. The number is 1-800-662-HELP or 1-800-662-4357. They work around the clock and will help you find what you need.
Hello, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you're on the lifeboat again. Good to see everybody here tonight. Just want to thank everybody that got on both live feeds at the 2:00 hour. I had a chance to head over and do the Thanksgiving at the church, which was a pretty good time. If I end up falling asleep during this thing from the amount of turkey that I ate, they'll all have to bear with me. Folks, tonight we're going to be going over some stuff about family and friends and family, depending on how you look at it, and talking about some of the things that that come up with recovery, and some of the things that that make us all here unique, because obviously we're all in the same boat. That makes for some changes, so that things aren't exactly the same as they would be for other people, other individuals. That's just sort of the reality. Hold on, people. That's just sort of the reality of our lives, and that's one of those things that we have to all deal with. Also, got some thoughts and prayers stuff going out. Fiona's daughter is she's called Ilaria. If we could keep Ilaria in our prayers, she's got a injury on her knee, and Fiona is taking her to the hospital to get that looked at. She talked about that on the last feed. CW. Talked about over on the Facebook Safe Harbor. Said that he's going through it, people. This is a gentleman that has got some PTSD, like so many of us. He's suffers from some PTSD, and he could use thoughts and prayers, and it's what we do, people. The last live feed was all about support, and if you didn't make that live feed, go back and watch it, because there's some stuff that we discussed that was pretty good stuff. I mean, honestly, it's really important. We talked about the importance of being able to ask for that support. It doesn't matter how much everybody would really like to help you if you can't take that step to get out of your comfort zone. And as a human being, to ask other human beings for help is not always the easiest thing to do. In fact, let's be really honest, it is probably the most difficult thing to do as a human. So having the opportunity to and the wherewithal to come out and actually do just that and ask for that is something that is that's super important. Really, it's one of those things that can be the difference between success and failure, the difference between hit and miss. And I would like to do a shout out to my brother on the other side of the glass, who is not only with us this evening, which is awesome. On the weekends he does spend some time with his family, but along with Charlie Mullins, is one of the only renters that we have in the building this evening. So it's good to have him back. The seventh son, Mark Technical Tommy, has been back at it. Okay, Mark. See, here it goes. It starts. During the last live feed, the feed dropped off. Now, I was trying to explain to the neophytes on this channel that don't make it over to Wages World often enough that there is some stuff going on with the sun. You see my big hands were over here. They had nothing to do with going anywhere near any of the equipment. Nevertheless, the loving crew on the lifeboat had a pretty good time blaming the host's large fingers for whatever caused the problem, knowing full well that it was caused by something happening on the sun. Now, if you spent a little bit more time over on Wages World and learning a little bit about space weather, you would have known that no, the captain had no blame whatsoever in this one. And if you could take the things that I don't have a hand in screwing up, there aren't that many of them. So I think when that happens, it's probably a pretty good thing. Arizona Ravens wrench had disappeared. If Arizona Ravens wrench disappeared, that would have been my fault. Goodness. Well, I know that my partner is going to restore that the very moment that he sees Ravens, so that should be, yeah. All right, so I screwed up, but I had nothing to do with the feed dropping off. You people. M. Hunt, great to see you, my friend. We're really happy to have you here tonight. We're keeping you in our thoughts and our prayers as well as you're making some decisions moving forward. People, tonight we're going to talk about family and friends. And you know, it's amazing how many times those concentric circles overlap. It's amazing how many times people who are friends can become family, and how people who are your family can become friends. Very oftentimes, as human beings, there are people who are your family but may not be your friends. Got to tell you a quick story. It was last century. I would have, if I had to put a year on it, I think I probably would have put it at 1982 or at 1983. But my parents had just purchased an automobile for my brother, and Johnny got a Ford Fiesta. I don't know if you remember those cars. They looked an awful lot like a Volkswagen Rabbit, but were made by Ford. And Johnny had got it. My parents had, my dad was at a movie, and I can't remember where my mother was that night, but I know my dad was at a movie theater in town. And he said, whatever you do, don't go joyriding. It was his new car. And obviously, what we did was take it joyriding. And at that point in my youth, I had a brother who I most assuredly was not friends with. In fact, the two of us had a very adversarial relationship. Although we spent time together, we were not what you would have called close. And we took the car out on back roads in Vermont, very winding, curvy roads that were dirt. You know, there was no pavement. And, you know, one thing led to another. And Johnny was driving at ridiculously fast speeds and probably wasn't a good enough driver well, obviously wasn't a good enough driver to be driving the vehicle at that speeds at that time. And crazy as it seems, the last thing that I said to my brother, I think before the accident, no joke, was, "You call this fast." And we lost control of the vehicle. Amazingly, we ended up in a cow pasture. We rolled the vehicle 4 times. One of them endo, like nose over tail. And we didn't hit the fence. The fence never came down. We somehow managed to land in a cow field without actually making contact with the split rail fence that they had up there at the time. And when the car finally came to a rest, I was in the little teeny hatchback area of the car with all of the broken glass from the back kind of piled on top of me. I had injured my ankle brutally. Although at the time I didn't know I had injured my ankle. It was one of those things I didn't learn until the following morning when it was about the size of a softball. But I couldn't find my brother. He wasn't in the vehicle, and you know, a cursory look around the vehicle, still couldn't find him. And he was a really long distance from the car. The steering wheel at the bottom had what looked like almost the golden arches from McDonald's, where his legs had hit the steering wheel and bent them into 2 like U shapes that went up into the steering wheel. And going out through the window, he cut his left ear almost completely off. It was hanging by a small piece of cartilage, so he was covered in blood from what had happened from the ear. I didn't realize at the time his ear was cut. This is all stuff I kind of figured out later. But we were a couple of miles from civilization, and there were no cell phones. There were none of the things that we take for granted today. And I didn't know anything about first aid. I didn't know anything about any of those things. And when I went over and found him on the ground, and I just figured he was dead. You know, it was one of those really ridiculous moments that sort of redefine your entire life. because as I looked down at a brother that I was not ever particularly kind to, and I assure you he was not particularly kind to me either, but I thought he was dead, and I ran for help, and I ended up running a couple of miles on an ankle that was so hideously injured. I'm sure I didn't do it a whole lot of real good. And the first person I came to was on a tractor, and I went up and spit out as fast as I could. We just were in a car accident. I think my brother is dead. And the guy sat on the tractor and just stared at me. Now, we lived in such a small town that I knew who this guy was. He was, it's not where he lived. He was mowing the field, there for the owner, and just stared at me. I don't know whether he was scared or what the deal was or didn't know how to deal with it, but he just sat on that tractor. So I took off and went to the next house and banged so hard on the front door that I broke a window, but there was nobody there. And then had to go about another half a mile until I got to a neighbor that was who was home, and he jumped in a Jeep and took me up the hill to go, and check on my brother. And as we came around the corner, Johnny was stumbling down the dirt road, covered in blood. Didn't know where he was. Didn't know what had happened. His concussion was epic. It was a very long time before he was right again. And for probably about 3 weeks, wherever he went, they would put a sheet down because he literally just leaked blood. I mean, there were so many parts of his body that blood was coming out of: ears, nose. He was just in really, really bad shape. But a funny thing happened that day. My brother became my friend. And at that point, knowing that there was that brief period of time where he was gone, and I thought about all the crap that we had done to one another, and how much the two of us had just not been very kind. And the same thing happened to him. And since that moment, if you've seen the two of us on film together, we have a pretty tight relationship. And from that moment forward, my brother became my friend, and probably my best friend. And the two of us grew quite close. And it was one of those things that it's kind of an eye opener, because it is really easy to be family with someone that you're not friends with. And on the flip side of that, at that same time in my life, I had two very, very close friends that were far more than friends. I mean, these guys, to this day, these are people that I still communicate with on a regular basis. And that was, God, I don't want to tell you how long ago. Let's just say a really, really long time ago. And it's never changed, the relationship that I have with those people. So oftentimes, friends can be family, family can be friends. That's a line that gets really, really blurred. On the last live feed, our crazy uncle was on, right? He's not here all the time, but when he's here, he's fun. Speaks for himself in the third person, and he's a very entertaining guy. But he came here and said, as I was talking about family and about supporting one another, he said, "I have no family." And Chi-Chi and a couple of other people in the comment section pointed out that if he doesn't have any family, it's because he's choosing not to have any family, because you can choose who your family is. And Miss V was one of the first people that piped up and said, "I've had to choose my own." And you know what, people? There's something to be said for choosing your own family. There's something to be said for picking a support team and a support family of people that are going to take care of you. And it's something that I think in this community is more important than anything, because as much as family loves us and as much as they care about us, many times they've not been in this boat. They've not been in the same boat as we have. And for that reason, no matter how much somebody loves you, and no matter how much somebody cares about you, they cannot understand the specific challenges that are going to come up in your life because of the fact that you're a drug addict. Now, you're recovering, but as we talked about on the live feed yesterday, friends, family, society, they all have preconceived notions about what that means. And they all, as much as they would like not to, very oftentimes there is a level of judgment that is going to take place that in order to avoid, it becomes very convenient to spend time with individuals who understand what you're going through. And, there's absolutely nothing wrong with finding people who know what you're going through, who on other levels you connect with, and building a family. I don't know if you've ever seen conversations take place between Fiona and Chi Chi, but for those of you new to the boat, through this channel, they found out that they were born 12,800 miles apart, but on the exact same day of the exact same year. And the lifeboat just sort of brought them together. And as they started to talk, they realized that there were just so many similarities between the two of them that it was almost frightening. And you'll often hear them refer to each other as birthday twin or sister, all of these different terms that they tend to use. But I can tell you right now that those two have become family. And there's absolutely nothing that isn't great about that. So today, as you start to move towards the holidays and we start to get to that point where, as we talked about earlier, this is a tough time of year. This is not just the holiday season. This is also the domestic violence season. This is also the suicide season. This is also the overdose season. This is a very tough time for everyone that walks the planet. But for those of us who for years had a coping mechanism that we purchased by the gram or bought by the 6-pack or bottle, this is a tougher time of year. So if you can start to think about putting yourself, who are missing the glitter cannons. Yes, you are. The twins are not here tonight. But if you start putting together a team in place to help you get through these tough times, man, assemble yourself a family. Think about it. Truthfully, what I'm telling you, assemble a family. I mean, they don't have to have the same last name and they don't have to share blood. I promise you, family is not defined by the blood in your veins. It's defined by the love in your heart and how much you care about one another. That's what makes people family. I got a bobble-headed brother on the other side of the glass who's nodding like this right now, and I know he's thinking about me. Not being arrogant, but something really unique has happened between the two of us since we met. And you can't beat that. You really can't. But in order to make that happen, a few things need to occur. Number one, you really need to be willing to open up to somebody. You're not going to find out just how similar you are to other people if you're not able to tell people about yourself. Now, I realize that that's a scary proposition in most places, but here on the boat, it's not, right? We didn't name this because it was clever. We named this because all of us are in the same boat. It doesn't matter whether you're from Switzerland. It doesn't matter whether you're from Ireland. It doesn't matter whether you're from Australia. There is something that makes all of us in the same boat. And what that is an imbalance. I mean, for really lack of any other better way to put it, there is an imbalance in the brain. There is a chemical reaction that happens to us that doesn't happen to other people. That makes us unique. It also means that the train jumps the track. And when that happens, very unusual things take place. One of the examples that is given very, very often in terms of feel-good chemicals, endorphins, being released into the body. One of the things that they talk about is when the doctor comes in or the nurse comes in and hands you your newborn, you want to talk about a dump of endorphins. There are a lot of people on this channel who are of a specific age, and they can tell you exactly what that felt like the first time that a doctor or a nurse came in and handed you your baby. There is a feeling of well-being that flushes over the body. And make no mistake about it, people, this isn't an accident. You can believe in God, you can believe in the universe, you can believe in evolution, you can believe whatever you want. But when the design was being put together by happenstance and evolution or by divine, design, we were built in such a way to make sure that we didn't throw that thing out. I mean, it's screaming, it's going to the bathroom on itself, right? For real. How do you make sure that you have an overwhelming desire to look out for this infant, to take care of this thing, to love it before you know it? Well, there is an unbelievable amount of chemical that gets released into the brain to ensure that that happens. Everybody can relate to that if you've had a child. Well, guess what? For those of us in this boat, when the train jumps the track, our brain starts to release chemicals like that into the brain for doing really stupid things. Normally, the brain uses those chemicals to ensure that something happens, like you taking care of that kid instead of going, man, that noise is awful. Get this thing away from me, right? So those chemicals are there to ensure that. Or I just created fire. This is a very good thing. I get a very warm feeling when I stare at it. I want to make sure that this fire continues to burn. I just killed an animal. This is going to feed the family. All of those things used to release those kind of chemicals. And then as we, grew as a species, and you didn't have to be doing as much hunting, and you didn't have to be doing, well, then the brain starts to release those chemicals for other reasons. And in normal people, they release just the right amount at just the right time. And it does things like make you want to procreate, to keep that race going, to keep the species moving on. Trust me, when you're getting intimate with your significant other or the significant other of the moment, you're going to get huge releases of those chemicals, massive releases of those chemicals. And it makes sure that as a species, we continue. However, take me as an example. When I made the phone call and I had the person drive to the parking lot and hand me a drug that had the potential to kill me each and every single time I used it, and also had the potential to ruin every single aspect of my life, cause divorces, cause my family and friends to not want to be anywhere near me, to have everybody mistrust me, the brain said, "You're doing the right thing, Tommy," and then released a big dump of those chemicals. You understand that doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense, so much so that there are people who would refer to it by using the D word. I'm one of them. Your opinion can be whatever opinion you want. And if you want to debate that sometime, we can do it off of the channel, because we've debated that here ad nauseum. But whatever you want to call it, it's an imbalance. Something happens to us that doesn't happen to other people. That's why you and your roommate in college can drink and abuse drugs in the same amount every single day. Here's your half gram, here's my half gram. Here's your six pack, here's my six pack. And you can do that for 4 years and then say, okay, today's the day we quit. One guy walks out and stops. The other guy hasn't got a chance. Why is that? Well, the reason it is because the guy that didn't have a chance belongs on this boat with a lot of other people who have the exact same issue. So as you start to build a support group, or as I like to refer to it, a support family, then the best possible case scenario, if you want to remain sober and you want to really take this thing through to its final conclusion, which is not, I'm not doing drugs, right? That's white knuckle sobriety. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about taking it through to its final conclusion, which is, I'm a new creation. That new creation does not have any time to do drugs. That new creation does not have any desire to go back to that lifestyle. Well, if that's the goal, then the best possible case scenario is to surround yourself with a family of people who are like-minded individuals. And in a perfect world, to find a place where all of those people in the family can get together and support one another regularly. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? Hence the lifeboat. So if you find yourself this holiday season thinking that your friends don't understand you, or your friends, you really need to basically lie to them, because that is what normally happens. It's very difficult to say to people who have respected you for years, when you leave, I'm going to stick a needle in my arm, because if you don't, I'm going to get sick. That's not a conversation that a lot of people are comfortable having with people that they think might judge them. But if that's the situation that you find yourself in, well, here you go. Come here. Start to get into the comment section. Introduce yourself. In fact, you don't have to. Just come into the comment section and let your avatar pop up on the screen and watch what happens. You know why everybody here is so welcoming, people? Honestly, I mean, granted, you're all great people. But a funny thing starts happening. Your brain gets back on track. Right? Once again, you see where I'm going with this? Your brain will start to reward you for doing the right thing. Your brain will start rewarding you for taking care of one another, for reaching out, for caring. That is what we talk about when we say, after a period of time, your brain chemistry will get normalized. If you're not giving the brain any reason to release chemicals for doing the wrong thing, it is going to start searching for other reasons to give you those chemicals. This is the reward center of the brain. This is the part that puts all of us in the same boat. You following me? Okay. So as the holiday season starts to come up on us and we get to the most trying time of the year, my recommendation, my wholehearted, get on it recommendation is make a list of your family and friends. Right? Write that list down. Here's the people within my sphere of influence. Now, Circle the names of the people that you will have no problem calling and saying, hey, I really feel like getting high, and not have them lecture you, judge you, or yell at you. If there are not a whole bunch of circles on that thing, then it's time to come up with a plan B. The really cool thing is that you can build a family of people who care about you that are a lot of fun to kick it with, that are a lot of fun to spend time with. You will see if you spend any time in the comment section that there are a ton of inside jokes. There's a ton of clowning. It's not like we come here and everybody gets really bummed out at what Captain Tommy says all day. Even if I'm doing one of the talks that I do that are doom and gloom, and you know what, people, it's impossible to avoid some of those. If I start talking about certain things that really are threatening the youth of the society, it's not feel good, subject matter. It's not. But if you go back and listen to those particular talks and then read the live chat, you will find that, yeah, comments pop up that show that without a doubt, people are listening. But dispersed in among all of those comments are an awful lot of yucking it up, right? There are a lot of comments of people that are just having a good time. You know what it reminds you of? Family, right? Reminds you of a group of family or a group of really close friends who all share certain things together, right? People have nicknames for one another. People have jokes about it. All of this takes place right here. If that wasn't a necessity, people, then I wouldn't have to do this for an hour at a time. I could have continued making 8-minute videos like the rest of the YouTube universe, and it would have worked perfectly. But that doesn't work because we need to be able to build relationships. It is absolutely essential for us as human beings. When they list the things that you need to survive, right? They say shelter, food, water, connectivity, the ability to connect, the ability to interact with people of the same species is massive. It's absolutely huge. So much so that in the more modern textbooks, they list it. Honestly, when they talk about food, shelter, water, they will say love or connection, because without it, people die. They wither away. Whether they die literally or they die figuratively, they die. Take this from somebody who spent a long time in solitary confinement. Now, a long time for me. I was in and out of the special management unit in about 18 months, 19 months. That's hell. But there were people there that had been there 7 and 8 years. And I'm telling you right now, they're not right. For real, they're not right. So much so that you probably have all heard of ADX. ADX is the federal prison in Colorado. They call it ADX Supermax. Most people mistakenly believe this happens to be a prison underground because they won't show the facility. All they show is the vehicle going in to take somebody to that facility. It's the only part they will allow you to film. And they show them going down a ramp, which makes most people believe it is not an underground facility. It's just sort of built up like a volcano. And in order to enter it, so volcano, I mean, it's hollow in the middle, and that's where all of the stuff happens. And they built the walls up on the outside of dirt, so like a berm, so that people can't see anything about the prison. But everybody in there, these are people that are the worst of the worst, right? The Unabomber is there. What's the name of that guy that looks like John Belushi? Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. He's in there. All of these different people. Come on, man. You know he looks like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Yeah, okay. So he's in there. All of these people that really just are over the top in terms of being a threat to society in this country, they got put in there, and some of them, the Unabomber, hasn't had a cellmate in decades. Boy, if you thought he was screwy before you went in there, I mean, this is a guy that really is going through it because of the solitary. So much so that the federal government just agreed to pay everybody that has ever been locked up in ADX for any extended period of time for cruel and unusual punishment. Because every psychologist and psychiatrist on the planet said, you're going to screw somebody up if you don't allow them to have personal interaction. At ADX, you're allowed one phone call a month for 15 minutes. All of your mail is taken and you read it on the TV screen. They won't even let you touch the letter that mom wrote you. Well, these things have a toll. And the reason I bring this stuff up, people, is because it's just damned proof that as human beings, we crave this kind of connection. We need this kind of connection. So as the holidays start rolling on, don't be an island unto yourself, right? No man is a rock and no man is an island. So if you find yourself starting to feel like the season is weighing down on you, don't be like everybody else. Don't bite your lip and say, I'm going to go and I'm going to get through this thing. And man, put together a team of people that care about you, that want to be there for you, right? The default setting around here is what? It's Chi-Chi, right? We've had this conversation so many times. The default setting around here, why would I say that? I would say it because this is one of the kindest people that you've ever met in your life. I don't think anybody argues with me on this. Even when Chi-Chi yells at people, and I've seen it, I mean, in a comment style, but I've seen Chi-Chi write some comments that were scathing and lovely at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, to really, that she has an ability to make you feel bad about what you just did and do it with class and style in a way that just exudes love. Would you not want that person in your family? Take it from somebody that has Chi-Chi as a sister. This is the kind of person you want as a support group. Fiona, all of the people in this comment section that are just there for you. I have gone off at length about Jacob Forrester, right? This is a cat who has insight that will frighten you, for real. I mean, thank God that he was doing what he was doing and not what I was doing, because that man's brain is firing on more cylinders than mine has, right? For real. I think under the best of circumstances, before the drugs and the concussion, I was probably a 6-cylinder engine. He's definitely got a 12-cylinder engine, and he's firing on every one of them. And he's here to lend support every single day. Don't believe me? Go read the comments. This is just a guy that drips wisdom and kindness in everything that he says. Now, is that family or is that friend? That's up to you, man. It really is. This is a group of people that will welcome you in and call you family. If you are observing, see what I did there? Oculi, if you're watching this, did you see what I did there? I didn't use the, does that show up correctly on camera, or is that an L, or is it backwards? It's an L. Okay. I didn't use that word. I used observing. So if you're here and you're observing and you've never dipped your toe into the water of the comment section, may I suggest you do so? May I suggest you pop up and just say hello? I'll take it from there. Guaranteed. I get emails from people all the time that say, I came into the comment section and got dogpiled by love and affection. Got dogpiled by people that just wanted to introduce themselves instantly and find out a little bit about you. Find out where you're at. Are you in a good place? Are you not in a good place? If it sounds like I'm bragging about the lifeboat, good. Good. I mean, that is absolutely what I'm trying to do. But it's not unfounded. This is not me bragging based on some cool thing that I did. I'm bragging because this is real, and I kind of get to be the face of it. But what goes on in the comment section around here is something that you people did. It's something that you did without coaching, right? It just happened. And when Mark and I first talked about it, we hadn't gone live. I was doing videos, and Mark and I were talking all of the time about, the direction of the boat and where we were going to take it and this and that. And we knew live feeds were going to be something that we did. Didn't know we were going to be doing them every day, twice on the weekends. But we knew we were going to do some live feeds. And I remember saying to him that I really hoped that within 12 months, 18 months, that people really understood this and were there to support one another. Man, the first live feed with no instruction. I never came out and said, here's what I'm hoping for you people. It would be really nice if you were kind to one another. And then maybe if somebody came in, did a little welcome thing, and maybe if you could treat each other like family, that would be good. None of that. It never happened. This was just one of those things that you people did. So whenever we say it's humbling and we say it's not about us, it's not about me and the bobble, there is a reason for that, because it's just the truth. And as far as the bragging goes, look, I'm just going to keep doing that. It is what it is. Get used to it. I'm going to do that. I've got plenty to brag about. For real, I have plenty to brag about. This is one of the largest families you're ever going to come across, and it just continues to grow. Right? I'm not sure what the number's at, people, but we're getting on that 2,000 pretty quick. If we're not there by next Friday, then something really screwy happened. as Chi-Chi said earlier, this crew's getting to be the size of a town. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, honestly, that's pretty cool. And that there's so many people here that are just ready to support one another. And as you're coming up to this time of the year, boy, if you don't need support, I do. I'm telling you right now, I do. And I've read every self-help book. I've read everything on drug addiction and on recovery. And I mean, this is what I do. I think I'm working on 4 of them at the same time right now, although one technically is about the addiction to all things digital. But this is usually what I'm studying, reading about, going back to school for in January. This is my my passion. But I'm telling you, people, this is a phenomenon. It really is. And as you start to get into this holiday season, make that list. I don't throw that out there as a silly idea. This is a great idea. I'm sorry. I'll take it. Check this out. See this? Great idea, Tommy. Good stuff. Great idea. Make a list of your family and friends. Write down all of their names. And then circle the ones that you would not feel weird going to and talking about your drug problem and the help that you'll get from them. I'm not saying that you don't have any. You might be blessed to all get out. There might be 14 circles on your list. It's going to be a rare list. It really is. If that was the norm, we wouldn't need group therapy. If that was the norm, then none of this would be necessary. You know, if that were how it was, then it wouldn't have taken a couple of guys getting together and creating the first of the sobriety families, right? The first 2 cats in the 30s that started AA, started the concept of the support family. We're just taking it to a modern spin. Actually, I should say, you guys are just taking it to a modern spin. I get the hat. So, people, this is the time of the show where I like to turn everything over to my man on the other side of the glass, who, oddly enough, is very much like a brother to me. So, just proof in the pudding kind of a thing. And then I can do this one without anybody calling me a squirrel. Mark, how are you, my brother?
Doing good, doing good. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I was just testing there for a second.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now you're good. Kiss Freak says echo, echo, echo. We got 5x5. Let me rephrase that. Can you guys hear Mark? Okay. No, you're mute. It says now you're mute. And I'm echoing.
Okay.
No Mark's voice.
All right. You guys probably hear me now. I'm sure you can. That's usually how it's set up. Yeah, there's something. I'm going to have to work on the audio a little bit. I turned myself down a little bit here, but we'll just do it this way. How about if I do it like that? That might actually help what I just did right there. But we'll go on there. They can't hear me still?
Apparently not. Apparently Mark has your hands. Tell me.
What? Okay. All right. Anyway, we'll just move on. If you guys can hear me good, I'm pretty sure you can. I turned myself down a little bit to help that echo. So, hopefully I'll just speak up. So hopefully you guys ain't getting an echo now. I really, really hope so. Anyway, so yeah, I think this is a great subject. You're so on point with the whole family thing. It is, it's such a, you just can't replicate it, and it's something that's natural. When it's natural, man, it's just so much better. I see so many channels out there that do have to kind of guide everything. You know, to me, it just seems fake. That's all. And this isn't. This is so real. And I said to Chi Chi a little while ago, the payment, they were thanking me for bringing people over and all that again, and it's just, yeah, I think that I get paid back just by this right here. This is where my payment is. This is what I do it for. This has nothing to do with anything else, and when we were doing this at the beginning, I even told Tommy, I was like, listen, if this ends up with me having to shut mine down to do this, that's exactly what I was going to do. And obviously I don't want to do that. I mean, I like space weather. I get it, right? And you guys, that anybody over on my channel knows that I haven't been making as many videos. This is why. I'm just being honest with you. This is taking a lot of my time and my effort, but this is where I feel like I'm making more of a difference here. I can do space weather updates, a 5-minute thing every day if I want to, but there's so many channels out there that do that, and I did a long time ago. I realized exactly what we're doing here. I started that on my channel a long time ago. Arizona's in here. Who else is from my channel? I can't really see right now, but they know. They seen the direction I took it. From the very first live feed, I started building connections at a deeper level. You can't replicate it. And when I did that, I watched my demographics change. Me and Tommy talked about this. Get a lot more women. Why? Well, I mean, it's just the way that it is. Men are typically the ones that kind of step back and aren't as forward with things, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I think a lot of it has to do with women are more sharing. They're just more caring on at least on the outside at the beginning, right? In any relationship. That's just kind of I'm not trying to stereotype or anything like that, but that just my own observation, and it's not a bad thing. If you were to look at my demographics on my channel, 52% women. You find another space weather channel, a science channel of any kind that has that kind of a ratio of men to women. I don't know if there's any out there. I really don't. Even there's a channel called the Space Weather Woman. Her demographics are not like that. They're mostly men. So, and I say that, I'm not trying to put a feather in my own hat. What I'm saying is that is evidence that it is more about a connection for me and always has been. And for something like this, and that's why I went to Mark Pyers. That's why we're here, and that's all that stuff happened in that area. You know what I'm saying? That happened in that arena for a reason. I really do think that it happened in that particular order for me to be here doing what I'm doing right now. I really honestly believe that. And the payment I got was so much more than I ever could have. I mean, immediately gained a brother in Tommy. I mean, it was like immediate. It wasn't even a question. I don't think we even needed to say it. I mean, honestly, it was just there. And obviously it's because we went through similar things, not exactly the same, but at the same, we understood each other. Didn't even need to say it. I mean, honestly, it just really was like that. And I hope that comes across here on the channel because we really do want the same thing. And I think that's why it's working. And I think that's why it's working as fast as it is. And, we talk about this sometimes too, that on my channel, like when I do a live feed, typically we'll get 9, 10, 15, 20 people come over here and sub. Because I'll mention it, right? But the fact of the matter is, I haven't done as many videos and yet we're still growing. What that means is that this is now on autopilot. This isn't, yes, I might be able to boost it a little bit here and there. Anybody that gives us recommendations, we need that. Every channel needs it. But at the same time, this is growing at a very healthy rate. And this is a true growth. This is not drive-by sub. That's exactly what we've talked about, me and Tommy in the background for a while. This is real growth. People are coming here and they're staying because this is helping. And it's obvious from the chat. And it's because we're family. That's why I said all that. It is a family environment. And people that are here are choosing to be here. That says everything, right? I mean, there's so many YouTube channels out there, so many other things. How many channels are there, Tommy? Like 2.5 million?
56 million.
56 million. See, I was way off. I mean, think about that, guys. There's 56 million other things they could click on, or any of us could click on, but yet we're clicking this and coming here. That's a huge thing. It really is. And for people to continue to do that and stay and participate, you know, even with being a young channel, we've dealt with some issues already, right? But the thing of it is, we're still here because we're here for the right reason. We are here because we love each other. Truly, that's not just something, a word that I won't say that word unless I mean it. Because I do think that word, when it does just thrown out there, it could lose meaning. But if I say the word love, I truly mean that. There is nothing fake at all, right, about that word to me. You know, I get, you know, hey man, I love you, brother, that kind of thing. Give somebody a high five, good game, pitch them on the butt, and walk on, right? You know, that's not what I'm talking about. When I say it here, if I say it in the chat, if I say it to anybody here, I'm telling you, that's exactly how I feel. And people ask, well, how can you feel about that, about somebody you never met? Well, you know, there's times where even kids will love their parents that they've never met. Tommy mentioned it a little while ago. You love a child before you get to meet it. When you know that baby's coming, you already love that child. That's not instinctual. Okay, I know people say that it is. It might be a little, like just to kind of procreate the species or whatever. But that's something, you know, not every person chooses to love their child before it's born. They don't. That's a choice. You know, some people run, do whatever they do, right? But what I'm saying is that, you know, it is a choice. You do choose family. Whether it's your blood family, you can still choose your blood family. You don't have to be around them or call them family. I got family that I do that exact thing to. And, you know, I just really, truly feel like this is what this is. This is a family that I've chosen. This is a family that Tommy has chosen. And every one of you in here have done the same thing. And you know, and Jacqueline was talking about Mark in there. Mark's my brother too. When I say I love Mark Pyers, I mean it. I said it over there a bunch, right? And I still say it when I'm over there. And, you know, and that's what I'm saying is that people can attest to when I say that word. It's actually what I mean. So don't think you can't love somebody just because you've never shook their hand, gave them a hug, or whatever. Because I promise you, there's people right now on this boat that have done more for me than people that I spent my whole childhood with. I promise you that. And most of all, the man on the other side of the wall here. You know, he might not realize it, but yes, it's just what it is. You know, just having somebody I know that relates exactly is just it's a huge blessing. That's exactly how I would describe it. You know, and it is. So I really do hope that people get that. And, you know, and most of that comes from you guys in there, guys. It really does. You guys do it with each other, and he said, even like Tommy said, it is most certainly something we never had to say from the first live stream. I mean, me and him talked for probably 45 minutes to an hour after that stream was over. Like, what just happened? You know, I mean, did that really just happen? So yeah, I mean, that's my end of it. You know, and that's how, you know, I wanted to give everybody a little bit of why I say, when I say the word love, I truly mean it. You know, if I'm just joking around, you're going to know it. You're going to see it. It's just what it is, right? And even though it's in the chat, it doesn't matter. So just know that, guys, and thank you for that. Thank you for all that love being paid right back to me. It really, man, yeah. I can tell you, I don't think me and Tommy would be doing any of this if that hadn't happened. I really don't.
No, there's no question.
Yeah. I really think, you know, I don't know that Tommy knows, might not realize this, but he might not have been happy just doing 8-minute videos. It might not have been enough for him to stick around. You know what I mean? Even though he could have been helping people or whatever, but it's real easy on YouTube to get discouraged. And the fact that you guys are here doing what you do for us keeps us motivated. It really does. It charges our
There's no question.
yeah, charges our batteries, fills our tank, however you want to put it. That's why. Arizona's in there dropping anchors right now. And that's what it is. We're all anchored in each other, and it's the family. And when we have to move and change a little bit, we pull those anchors up. But one thing's for certain, when we find where we need to be, we drop them again. And that's where everybody's at. So I really hope that everybody gets that. And I think most of you guys do. So thank you for that.
No, I appreciate that. And I'll tell you something, I think the best thing that you just said is, I'm not sure whether or not we would have made it either. I mean, that really is a huge thing. I remember it's almost become a joke among certain people that that when I put the hat on, something magic happened, and because the boat and the channel and everything really seemed to change. But if you go back and look, right around the time the hat went on is when we went live, and that really is the what really has driven this has been the live, the interaction back and forth between us. People, when the challenges come up, you look at all of the different ways that you can fix things, and you know what the challenges are. People have talked about it more than we want to talk about it, but there are people that don't like me. So one of the options was we can do a 1 hour show, and then I can pop up and make it a premiere. That still gives you the opportunity to get into the comment section and do exactly what you do. The only problem is I don't get to, and there's no interaction between us and you guys, and that's not an option. It was just one of those things that immediately, as soon as we brought it up, we went, it's not going to work, because we have very much become addicted to the feedback and the back and forth between host, and that is magic. Chi-Chi's right. But the just like that, perfect example. You know what I mean? Where I can squirrel off for a second, and there is so many funny things said. You know what I mean? I was writing stuff down, and while you're talking and being serious, you said, but something or other, and somebody wrote, you said but. It's just one of those things that there's a lot of really, really funny things that get said here all the time. I will tip my hat to Seventh Son, who consistently puts up some of the funniest things ever. Mark, you weren't here earlier, but he put up the ITT Tech donation for Tommy to go to ITT Tech. It's just really, really funny stuff. And it's constant, and it's growing, and it's exactly what it's supposed to be. So when we said earlier on the last, my last name is Bud. Very well done, Chi-Chi. And if you've never been over to Chi-Chi's Facebook page, anyway, I'll let that one go. The people, it's growing continually, and the people that that come on board, the people who come on board are falling in lockstep instantly, and instantly becoming family. We had, yesterday I talked at length about the football game and the championship victory that happened for Jamie's boy, and what a magic thing that was, and the fact that she was able to experience that sober and all of that. Well, that's somebody that was observing for a period of time before jumping into the comment section, and it's such a perfect example of literally exactly what I was talking about. You observe, you hang out for a while, and then a question came up that she needed an answer to, and stepped a little outside the comfort zone to drop into the comment section because she would like me to answer something. And you know what? It was right at the end of a live feed, and just thank God that was a question that I squirreled on. Right? I mean it. I'm not saying that as a figure of speech. Thank God that was one of those questions that I squirreled on, because here we are. Jamie is very much a part of the crew, very much plugged into what we're doing here, and sober, which is just such a beautiful thing. And we love her. Not even going to go off at the fact that running a little late, Jamie. No, I'm just kidding. We're really glad you're here. No, Fiona is not here. I just saw that in the comment section. She had to take her daughter for an x-ray. She had done something to her knee. So, Chi-Chi, I just saw that. Ha, Tommy. I'm glad you got that, because that was one of those. See, people, you didn't even get that one. That was a private joke I threw out there just for Chi-Chi, but I'm glad she got it. Folks, the long and the short of it, right? I could spend another hour saying the same thing. I could probably spend 2 hours saying the same thing because it's exciting and it's one of those things that um, everybody feels. I mean, really, one of two things happen. You either feel it or it scares the heck out of you. I mean, honestly, if you haven't been in the same boat, if you're not somebody that really understands just exactly what is going on in the phenomenon that is the lifeboat, then chances are it's really kind of a different type of a scenario. You know what I mean? It's something that that might be a little frightening to people that don't get it. And you know what? Let's hope we scare them off. I'm not even joking, people. If you don't get this, then there's a reason. You understand what I'm saying? If this isn't something where you go, damn, this is cool, then you're probably not cut from the same cloth. You're not probably been in the same boat, and you probably shouldn't be here anyway. And I'm not saying that cold-hearted. They're going to find something that works for them. We've heard people on this channel before say that the best way to stay sober is to never help anyone, to not talk to anyone else, to stay in your little bubble. And you know what? If that works for you, that's great. I'm more than happy for those people. But this ain't a home for them. Plain and simple. This is not. This is a home for people who believe that the best way to keep it is to give it away. The best way to make sure that you are becoming a new creation is to get involved with what? Ooh, I got to do this slow. As many points of contact as you possibly can. Every time you create a new point of contact and you create a new memory and you create a new family, right? Whether it's friends, whether it's working out, whether it's church, whether it's whatever, bowling league, all of the things that you do now that you didn't do then are the things that are going to keep you. Normally people would say on the wagon. I like to prefer to call it on the boat. But it's what is going to keep you on the boat, all right? The sobriety boat. And the more points of contact that you can get, the better off you are. And this comment section is an unlimited number of points of contact. All of these different people that you care about. How many people tonight have said, where's Deja? How many people tonight have said, where's Phi? It doesn't take 30 seconds for people here to go, uh-oh, we're missing somebody. What does that remind you of? Should remind you of family, people. It absolutely should remind you of family. And the reason that it does is because this is family. Noise Opera says he's learning. You know what? We're glad you are, my brother. We really are. We're glad that you are.
For sure.
I had a neighbor.
I think that, you know, even as you're talking, Tom, I know you're reading too. You know, as you're saying that, they're asking, you know, telling everybody keep leisure, you know, in your prayers and all. I mean, all this stuff is just, it's continual. When somebody's not here, we know it. You don't even have to, I mean, if you don't know they're not here, then guess what? You will in about 2 seconds because 30 people are going to type it.
Yep.
And it really is. It's family, honestly.
No, it's a beautiful thing. And folks, we are at ye old witching hour. I'm going to try to not cough because apparently when I do, I disappear. I got some tricks later you're going to really love. Brandon, I'm glad that you're here. We're proud of you, Brandon. We are proud of you, my brother. And I'll tell you something. The number of days that you have sober, I believe it's 10. I think it's 10. I'm more impressed at how you dealt with the last stumble than I am at the 10 days. Not that they're both not awesome, but the way you dealt with that last stumble, that would be textbook how we would like people to bounce back, to come here and be honest and say, hey, you know what? I stumbled. No one judged you. It really is a beautiful thing. Cemetery 76, you have a great night. To each and everyone here, thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you so much for being a part of this family and for welcoming new people here. You are an amazing group of people. I could not be more proud to be associated with you. I know that my partner feels the exact same way. Between now and tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock a.m. on the West Coast, that would be Oculi Mortis' coast. Between now and then, people, you know what we would like you to do? We'd like you to just try to make the family a little bit bigger. And we do that by reaching out and trying to save somebody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass would be
Mark Wages.
Oh, 1 second. Jamie, that doesn't sound silly. I'm sorry. Jamie said she got 4 days sober. Sounds silly. Does not sound silly.
That ain't silly. Congratulations.
Awesome. Sounds awesome. That's what it sounds. All right. Let me try that one more time. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. On the other side of the glass, we have
Mark Wages.
All right, people. It's been fun. We will see you tomorrow morning. God bless.